paso. Soy un electrano para verte que Picasso. Sinfonías de mis dientes se convierten en un palo. Pinto musas de mi mente, un universo estoy creando.
Sé que lo puedes ver, difícil comprender. Es mi forma de ser, realeza y poder. Se retiró R de reggaetón, llegó la reina.
Hey guys, and welcome to the EL3VATE podcast. This is your girl, Stina Diaz, your official host for the FUSIC365 convention coming up at the end of this month in Augusta, Georgia. We have some really dope guests on tonight, and I want you guys to be so tapped in because it's going to be such a great event. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
And I'm Stevo. I'm one of the instructors at FUSIC365 this year.
Alrighty, cool. So let's just go ahead and jump into some general questions. We all know this is a dance convention. This is something that's become big or popular over the years. And essentially bringing it to the South is something that we've tried to do consistently. Now we're already here. What are your expectations for this convention, or what are you looking for in your students?
For me, just to be honest, willing participants, smiling faces. That's the most that I think a teacher can ask for. There's so many kids that benefit from dance, even if they don't benefit necessarily from dance in the future as a profession. They benefit from the lessons and the times that they had and the memories that they shared with their friends. And so, like I said, that's the biggest thing for me when I see smiling faces and willing participants, and they just look like they're having a good time. That's when I feel like I'm doing the right thing,
Absolutely. Nainani, what about you?
For me, it's individuals that are passionate about dance. They enjoy it. They love it. They have a good time no matter the age or capability, no matter the training background, whether they're late in life and starting to dance now because they can, or we're hitting up the youth who are young and up and coming.
Absolutely. So, of course, you're going to have a couple of choreography pieces or pieces that you're going to be teaching during this convention. Me being a previous dancer, what is your pocket? What pocket are you in? I know you're majority hip hop. So what pocket are you normally in? Are you on the bass? Are you on the hi-hats? Are you on the chord? What is your pocket? The words? What is your pocket?
That's an interesting question, because I think I actually bounce between, because some choreography is on the beat, some's right behind it, and some's in front of it. I bounce around to all three, and then I go from lyrics to beat. So I can't say there's a specific thing I look out for, but I will say that I like to tell stories when I do choreography. I like to actually do a visual representation of the song. So I don't think you can, I know as a fact, you can't take any of my choreography and place it with another song to the same BPMs, and it's not going to look right, because it's actually describing it. So, and then also it's effortless kind of up top, but a lot going on down below. And that I think that comes from ballet training.
Absolutely.
Because that's where I was raised. And then kind of like, you ever seen a ballet dancer hold their leg up and they look like it's so easy? We all know it's not. But they're smiling like it is. So that's kind of, to me, that's like, it just has a great presence to it. So that's my pocket. Absolutely.
Love it. Nainani, what about you?
When I choreograph?
Yes.
Whenever I choreograph, I'm a bass girl. I like it low and I like it hard. I tend to go with the drum, but I think that's my Polynesian background. Is
absolutely
that drumming.
I love it. Yeah, that's more of my bass. I guess my thoughts too. When I'm thinking of music, I'm not thinking of a dance or any choreography, but I'm listening to the bass. But kind of segueing over to what Stevo just said. His background is in ballet. What kind of interested you into becoming not just a choreographer, but just dance in general? That's something that it takes a little bit more passion to do outside of any other art, I would say, only because you're using your physical body, and then you're kind of using your mental to kind of tap into what emotion you want to exude, because you're not using words. It's almost like Pictionary. So, when they're when they're acting it out. So, what kind of drove you towards dance as something that you wanted to take, not just professionally, but as your passion?
What actually started me in dance was that my father was a professional ballet dancer. He was actually probably the first paid Atlanta ballet dancer. So it goes way back into the 70s. And so when, my parents owned the dance studio, so I had to stand on the side. I was probably like 2 or 3, but I don't know why I wasn't taking it first, but I saw the kids having fun. I was like, I want to jump in. So that's how I started. And then I was trained in long time, probably about 19 years in Circadian Russian style ballet. But then I was always a fan of hip hop music. I was always a fan. I watched music videos back then. You had to hit the VCR record when it popped on. But that was something I was always into. And I think when I went to college for a year, and my college professor said, you know, when you get old, you either go through a lot of regret or you go through a lot of happiness. And the people that are regretting are the people that didn't do what they wanted to do. And the people that are happy are the ones that did do what they wanted to do. And at the end of class, I shook his hand and I said, thanks, man, I won't be back. And he said, you're going to be a happy old man. I said, you're right about that. So hopefully one day I'm going to go out and find him and I'm going to tell him what he did for me. So yeah, it was around college where I was like, because I hadn't danced for a little while and I never knew what that was like. And I was kind of miserable and I didn't know why. So once I figured it out, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, absolutely. Nani?
Dance. I think for me, growing up, my family comes from a long line of people involved with our cultural performing arts in Hawaii. So my grandfather was a big influence. My mom was my first dance instructor. I was a 2-year-old energetic little girl that had way too much energy for my mom. So she was like, rainy days, that's it. You're dancing. You're going to learn your cool steps. And then growing up from there, it was that space where I could be anything and do anything and be anyone. My father used to always tell me that on the stage, that's your place to go ahead and let loose and express whatever you want to express, be whoever you want to be, and you leave it there on the stage.
Absolutely.
And so that was just my space to be free and to express myself. And I think that's kind of helped growing up into adulthood.
Absolutely. And again, I'm not a professional dancer, but I've been dancing my entire life. So my mom, and this always stuck with me, she just always kind of told me, if you're going to do something, do it to your best. So I would be in the grocery store dancing, like just trying to perfect something. You know how you just catch yourself like really busting out in front of anybody, like, because that's just what you love to do. So it's almost like I really understand where that comes from. But as a choreographer, you know, kind of more than just developing as a dancer, but as a choreographer, because now you've stepped into more of a prominent role in the dance community. What does that look like for you? How do you train as a choreographer? How do you continue to get better? Because it's always space to grow. As a choreographer, what does that look like for you?
For me, it's that's choreography was a little bit tough for me because what I noticed was I wanted to be different, and at one point that was a big thing. But I noticed there was a stream of choreographers that would do similar moves. And I just always thought, man, I really don't want people to look at my choreography and be like, oh, that's what, you know, that's just a watered down version of this person or whatever. So it took me so long to develop my own moves and style. And that was a lengthy process and a lot of experiments and stuff like that. But what helps me a lot, one is an incredible song that I don't mind hearing 18,000 times, because we all know, I know Nani knows, like if you teach a class to a song, you're going to hear it 18,000 times. And if it's not something you want to hear, you got to throw it out the window. And yeah, I used to pick songs that I like to like rap along to or sing along to. And I realized that's not really the best move sometimes, because some of those songs don't really have a good beat to dance to, or they don't really have like a dancey feel to them. But what helps me with my moves is if I take classes. I literally, if I'm not taking class, I'm not as inspired to make anything up, because you always got to remain a student, and it's like, you know, anybody can teach you. So yeah, it could be a class that I didn't even enjoy that much, but something about what they did was something that I'm not thinking about, and it just helps me like expand my mind a little bit, and then yeah, I go to it after that.
Absolutely, love that. Nani?
That's very true. Taking classes, I wholeheartedly agree with Stevo there. Taking classes keeps you motivated. It keeps you refreshed, and you know they say that the best instructors are always the ones that remain students, because you're always learning, and then you can empathize as well with those that you're choreographing. Students, when you're trying to catch on to something. When I'm working with someone and choreographing a piece for students, I often too have got to look at people's bodies as they're moving. I might have a vision for a song and for a piece of music, but then all of a sudden when you see it put on somebody, you may have to go ahead and work with their bodies sometimes, is what I've learned. especially if their dance experience may be limited. So you've got to work with how their bodies move as well, because as a choreographer, oftentimes your ideas and thoughts have to work for them, on them. And sometimes you have to work with what you have in front of you. So even though you may have this incredible vision and this idea, if it doesn't work on the person's body, it has to be kind of shifted.
How do you maneuver with that? Like how does that kind of, because I know even being in dance classes or even seeing my friends in dance classes and they are kind of trumped on a piece of choreography, how do you kind of like get your student to be more confident or to kind of like overcome whatever it is that they're running into with your choreography?
Oh, on my side, I'm kind of half and half with that, because I from dancers, it's kind of cruel, I guess, because I was a dancer and a choreographer. But with dancers, I don't have much leniency towards doing it any way other than the way I'm doing it, unless it's for a specific performance that they ask me to do for them. Because then that is exactly what I would do. Is I don't want to do me if they're making sure that they want to look the best in their performance. But with artists, it's totally different. I go in and I watch them first, and then I base all my choreography off of what they do. Yeah, because it would be a nightmare for me to be like, "Hey, do this," and I show them like, "Man, that's not even me, bro. Like, not at all." So yeah, I'm kind of strict on some people, but I'm insanely lenient on others, and yeah, that's kind of my approach as well.
Love it. Nani, what about you?
I'm right there with Stevo. You have to take a breath and look at who you're working with. And I agree. If you know the potential of a dancer, especially if you've interviewed them and auditioned them and you know what they're coming in with, and it's like, this is what your job is. Go ahead and do it.
No, I completely get it. No, I completely get it. Is there ever a time that you experience creator's block, where you're kind of in a rut, you really don't have that that spaz or that razzle dazzle? If you do experience it or have experienced it, what ways do you use to get up out of that that funk to kind of move forward through that and kind of push through that? What does that look like for both of you?
Yes, many times been blocked creatively, and it's and the only time it's ever happened is when I taught a weekly class. And I know that sounds crazy, but because I'm doing so much other stuff, if I was drowning in just classes and training and stuff like that, it's a little bit different. And I'm really inspired by the classes I'm taking. I can probably keep up that work pace. But if I have to come up with new choreography almost weekly to teach to a class, eventually I'm like, all right, like I don't have much more to offer you guys for this month or whatever. So that's kind of the only time I've ever gotten creatively blocked, is when I had to continually pull from my arsenal or my library of moves, and I wasn't taking enough class to counteract that. Yeah, exactly.
So what did you do to get past it?
I stopped teaching weekly. It's kind of funny. The pandemic actually made that easier for me, because when we came back, they wanted us to wear masks, and I'm unfortunately I get very claustrophobic very quickly, and I'm very hard to understand anyway, because my voice kind of like is very monotone and kind of goes underneath the radar. So when music's playing, classes already have a hard time. So I noticed I was in class yelling through a mask, and I was getting lightheaded, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know if I can make it." You know what I mean? I was like, I totally understand what we're doing, but I'm probably gonna pass out, and it's just not gonna look good. So yeah, I pulled back, and oddly enough, since then I've been creating a lot more, because I'm taking more classes, remaining a student, like Nanani was saying.
Absolutely. So, Nanani, what about you? Anything specific?
To get out of a creative block?
Yes.
I'm like Stevo there. You start jumping into classes, you start becoming a student is what I have to do. Start watching videos, other dancers. Oh, I love to watch the up and coming there. Get on YouTube. It's like Googling what everybody's doing. That's really inspiring. And then jumping into classes really helps. And then sometimes you just have to take a moment and get away.
Absolutely.
Get away from everything, unplug, and then come back at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that definitely always works. So you just said something, and that kind of brought up another question that I already have. the TikTok and social media crave. With all these little dances that are happening, kind of quick waves of dances, recycled dances to older songs. Do you feel that has a, I guess you could say, a negative impact on real choreography? Or do you think that that's something that's kind of additive to the culture, and it was something that was needed? Or you just have an unbiased opinion and you're just kind of like, eh?
Wow. I am. It's funny. It's such an. I'm a big fan, and I'm a big. I am very. Man, what's the way to say it? Is a positive and a negative thing of both of it. Like it's the positive side is that people are being noticed. Dance is becoming way more popular. There's way more energy for it. Like for instance, even in Augusta, like there was never. I started trying hip hop classes in Augusta probably like 25, 30 years ago. Wow, I really showed my age, but they like, I don't know, it was never as big back then, but now it's big everywhere. So there's really is a following and an energy for it. And it's really cool because you get to see, like you're talking about watching video, dances on video on YouTube. And Nani, it used to be you could watch, you know, dances on YouTube, but now there's so many of them. It's such a mass number that like,
Saturated.
Yeah, they can jump and land on their pinky and spin around. It's the most amazing things you'll ever see. You're like, oh my God, like I'm glad I got my dancing in now because now they're flying, you know, without jetpacks, and they're amazing. So it's like it's really cool to see that. However, like everybody, unfortunately, that means everybody is a star, and nobody has to work for the blue ribbon and nobody has to work for the job. And I tell my students all the time now, I'm like, when I used to take class, like everybody I took class from was a professional working choreographer. They either taught, they did, you know, choreography for NSYNC or Madonna or whoever. Like you always knew that's who they were and they were very famous for what they did. Now you could be taking class from a teenager that's never done a job in his life and has the biggest numbers. And so you're trying to learn from somebody who's never done what you're learning. So it's a very strange situation to be in. And I know a lot of like older choreographers, not even mean older, but like within the last 10 years, they've been doing stuff. When they hire these newer dancers that have big numbers, they're very excited and there's a lot of cool stuff going on. But like, and when they come in and they start teaching them to dance, they're like, man, no matter what I show them, they can't do it the way I'm asking them to do it. Yeah, because they never trained. It's like they are the trainer. And it's a little wild because so like I said, there's a really big upside to it and there's a really big negative side to it, and you know, that's with almost anything. So I'm happy about it, but I'm also like, man, like for instance, I worked for 15, 20 years with a resume, huge resume, and did all this stuff, and then I was like, oh, it's gonna be golden. As soon as I get done, I'm gonna step into teaching. But when Instagram came out, I didn't really care, and so. It just so happened that when I was old enough and I was done with dancing, when I started teaching, they weren't looking for people with resumes.
Yeah.
They were looking for people with numbers. And I was like, oh, wow, well, you should have told me that 15 years ago. Like I was really counting on this to come through, but eventually it works itself out. But it's like, it was a little bit of a shock because I'm not really big on online. Anybody who follows me knows I don't post daily. And so, yeah, it's interesting. There's upside and downside.
Yeah, where I'm from, we call that a slippery slope.
Slippery slope, exactly. Yeah.
Nenani, what about you? How do you feel about the new TikTok craze, instant stardom, viral vibes?
I think I agree with Stevo. It's like you call it, it's a slippery slope. There's positive in there and there's cons to it as well. The pro about it is that there's lots of people that are passionate about dance and there's lots of people who are interested in dance. And even if they're not going to be a professional dancer, they're still enjoying dance. Right. And that's so important on so many levels in people's lives. But then also too, numbers don't always translate to best trained or the best dancer for something as well. And when studios are looking for someone that's pulling numbers, because they're looking at potential students and attracting new students, it's not necessarily because it's like the best technique or the best training for their dancers. So yes, there's pros and there's cons about it.
Absolutely. So that training aspect is super, super important when trying to become I guess you could say a well-known dancer. Do you still feel that is a prominent thing, or
Well,
it's kind of
it just really depends on what you want to do, to be honest with you. I mean, it was working. You know, some of these people have no training whatsoever, and they're 16 and they're famous. So it is working for some of them. And I don't know what the long-term outcome of this is. I don't know if any of us know that, because the internet in its stages that it's in right now is very new to us.
right.
So it's like everybody having a platform or a TV show, quote unquote, is like, we'll figure out what the damage is, 10, 15 years from now. And I didn't want to harp on what you said about the stuff, but I feel like it doesn't really set the goals are not specific on the internet. Like the TikTok and stuff, like a dancer will watch a TikTok and they'll just do stuff like this.
Yeah, real quick.
And then they have 1 million views. And since there's no goal, like, it's like, okay, is that what I need to do? So then you put that up and you don't get as many views. It's like in a class setting, you typically have a goal. The teacher is the goal, and whoever gets the closest gets the acknowledgement. And so there is a goal set, and then everybody has to reach the goal. And ends up being first all the way through, last place or whatever. But at least we knew what the goal was, and there was something to reach. But it's a little bit of a wild west with the internet. There's no rules, no goals. You don't know why some people blow up. Normally, the dumber the video, the more views it gets. Yeah, so it's like so the goal is to be dumb. I don't understand. So it's like if you do a really quick 7-second, really silly clip, I've seen people lip sync stuff, and 2 million views later, they're famous. And I'm like, I don't know what that goal is. So it's confusing to students that are looking to achieve something sometimes too. Yeah.
Absolutely. I actually spoke with some students here in the Atlanta area as far as like how do they feel about the whole TikTok craze, and they were not fans of it. They felt they have been working, they've been going to class, they've been training, they've been doing what they're supposed to do, and they get overlooked because one, they don't have the numbers or the social media presence. Two, they're just not doing what everybody else is doing. They're kind of stuck in the traditional way of dance when it comes to learning from an instructor and then kind of going out for auditions. My next question is, and then I'm going to go over and jump to Broderick and Dwayne. But before that, my next question is for you all. Over the years, and you guys have been in this industry for a while, what choreography do you feel stands out the most and why? And that's through videos, that's through movies, that's through concerts, that's through whatever it is. What choreography do you feel? And let me just kind of give it a kind of not broad, have it broad as broad. In the last 10 years, what choreography or choreographer has a piece that has stood out to you and why?
Nani, I feel like I'm answering all of them first. Please go first.
Oh gosh.
I know it's a crazy question because it's so much. I know. But just
I'm glad you put it down to 10 years.
10 years. So not just like all time, but like in the past 10 years. So all the way back to 2012.
All the way back to 2012.
Yep.
Oh goodness. Choreography piece. Gosh, because it's like my all-time favorites are older pieces. Like I'm such a fan of Swan Lake. I love certain aspects of the Nutcracker and go to see it every single year in multiple companies. I love your Broadway shows as well. Okay, so choreography, things I've seen recently, the last 10 years. Something kind of mainstream.
It doesn't have to be mainstream. It doesn't have to be in a movie. It could be whatever you felt kind of resonated with who you are as a choreographer. And that's just something that kind of put, a little fire in you, like that was fire. I need to get on that level. That's what I'm looking for.
So I don't want to mispronounce this troupe's name. I know what's on my mind. Hold on a second. So I am thinking of a Tahitian dance company that's actually based in Paris, France. Okay. So there's a Tahitian dance school in Paris, France. And there is a choreography. So it is Otahiti Nui is the name of the dance school. And they did a piece at a traditional Tahitian competition there in, where was it? In Paris. They were the winner of the troops that year, and this was posted, I guess about a year ago is when the video was posted. Their first place finale piece was like,
Nice.
like,
And this is where we insert a clip of that right here.
Right. Yes. I will have to go ahead and make sure I send them the link to it, because
insert a clip right there.
The technique is incredible as far as the movements and the hips. If you've ever studied Tahitian dancing, the story comes from the hips. It's all in the hips. But the in sync of the troupe itself, how they move, synchronized ways, hips all going the same direction, same speed. The choreography itself is really intuitive when it comes to that traditional dance. So for me, coming from that background, I was like, oh, these are like the stuff my dreams are made of. Dancing. I was like, yes, I want to take your class.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And then what style of dance was that again?
We would call it Tahitian.
Tahitian.
Okay. Tahiti Ori is the traditional sound of it.
Okay. So all the dancers out there, go ahead and tap in. Stevo, what about you?
Oh man, it's funny. Like as Nani was answering, I was thinking, and I'm like, man, I really must be getting old, because I can't think it. Like in the last 10 years, I can't say I remember something being so specifically like really coming out, like me being like, whoa, other than I would say Chris Brown in the good days. And I mean, when he was actually attempting to dance, like I think he just danced, like he's so talented that he can just go out on stage right now and dance. But I think when he used to be in rehearsal on a regular basis and really going off, like, I don't think he could be touched at the time. And then he actually did two videos with Usher, and Usher's just next level. So I'm pretty sure those were in the last 10 years. And those, I'm pretty sure the choreographers might have been, it was like Josh Smith and Mark Marvelous. I'm not really sure, but those guys are incredible. Yeah, that's that for the most part in the last 10 years, it's been like America's Best Dance Crew. And that's not necessarily my style, even though it's the most impressive, minute of choreography you'll ever see in your life.
Right.
But it's just so much, so fast. There's no build, there's no like crashes and falls.
It's just straight.
Like, all the way through. And they're doing things that are superhuman. These people they're not real people. They're like aliens. And the things they're doing, they're like superhumans for real. And I have no like insult to it whatsoever, but the structure and the way that the show is set up is just so like instant gratification, like that real quick boom, boom, boom. And that's not as dope to me, but yeah, I would say like the stuff that really stands out is like the Michael Jacksons and Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott was a big one for me.
Oh yeah.
From way back when.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just say mine, and it's crazy that you just mentioned Missy Elliott. Sean Bankhead, and I'm in Atlanta, so Sean Bankhead has a lot of influence over the dance market up this way. So when he started taking dancers all the way from the studios here, and then moved them with Missy Elliott, and the way she kind of transformed from the early 2000s to like this whole new TikTok-y almost, but Missy Elliott vibe. I think that was the like probably one of the dopest to me. I do love Sean Bankhead as a choreographer. He's done so much here in the past 10 years, it kind of changed what that choreography looks like in videos, because it almost stopped for a minute. I don't know if you've been looking at music videos, but it almost stopped. The choreography was very minuscule. It wasn't anything that was to be like, okay, I like looking at it, but he's one of the people that brought it back, as well as Paris Goebel. She's fire. I know y'all know about her. Y'all know about her. So, yeah, she's fire. Her with Savage Rihanna Fenty, the first show went crazy. So like I like to see where choreographers look at other choreographers. It kind of gives me an idea on, not just what your pocket is, but kind of just, what you're interested in. And that all over turn just kind of looks at you as a choreographer. So I love to see that. So Dwayne and Broderick, how are y'all?
Good.
Good. I have a couple of questions for y'all. See what y'all got going on here quickly. With this being the first convention, FUSIC365, what do you guys expect?
So expect a lot of energy and a lot of involvement. Coming up with this competition and convention, it was something that we wanted to bring to Augusta that hasn't been here. I've lived in Augusta in the past. I used to play arena ball here also back in the day. So been here a while, moved back, but I never seen anything like this here in Augusta as far as a convention and competition. Augusta's mostly known for golf. That's about it. and of course Fort Gordon in the Army. So I know it's a lot of talent that has come out of Augusta, still a lot of talent here, and I wanted to find a way to actually get that out to the public, out to the masses. And I believe that having a convention and a competition here would actually do that. We're trying to do something annual here, to where it's going to be something actually annual or convention and competition to actually get that talent out of these actual dance schools here and all these fine art schools.
What do you hope for the attendees? I mean, even some people that aren't dancers that just are still interested in the art, still interested in what it looks like. What are you hoping for them to take away from this experience?
What I want them to take away from this is something that actually that the actual instructors are giving them. You know, they're coming here to get, you know, next gen type training. You know, as Stevo said, you know, when he wants the actual dancers to actually learn something. You know, this is not a TikTok craze. They're coming to actually train and learn something actually for those few days. But they might take something from that training there and take it back and say, hey, this is something I want to learn and get more in depth into. You know, because you know, most of the people are coming here. They're coming from studios that are coming from Charlotte, from Atlanta, and so forth. I want them to actually, you know, learn something from it. That's not like a TikTok craze, but something actual training. And you know, hopefully, you know, Q&As or things like that from Stevo, from Catherine, things like that. You know, like what some advice they can give them that they could go in the industry. Because you know, almost like Stevo, he's been on tour before, things like that. Like what advice you would give these up and coming dancers, actually help them go forward. You know, because it's not just about these YouTube video views. It's not about TikTok views. Because like you said, if you go to an actual audition, it's not going to be what you see on TikTok.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You're going to get put through, you know, the rigors to try to actually make that show or that actual performance that you're actually trying to audition for. And I want them to actually take that away. And also to kind of find out what FUSIC is all about as well. What we're trying to do at FUSIC is like what FUSIC stands for is fashion, music, 365 days a year, because every day is ever changing. And what that stands for is that you're not the same person every day you wake up. Musically, artistically, you're different. You don't put the same socks on every day. You might have a different like fashion sense so that you want to change socks, change your shirts. You're not the same person. And the motto is, you know, we want you to live in what you create. So we want you to actually, we're trying to create something where you can actually make a living off your creations. So what we're doing is creating something here with FUSIC, but we're trying to base it here in Augusta because, like I said, I mean, it's home of James Brown. You know, now it's the home of Stevo. You know,
love it, right? Exactly.
Stuff like that. You know, because I'm a huge fan of Stevo. You know,
I appreciate it, man, and Catherine too, right?
Yeah, Catherine as well. We're bringing Christopher Wilson also. He's with Alvin Ailey right now.
Oh yeah,
love it.
So
Yeah.
where could they go to find more information, Brock?
So yeah,
Dwayne is funny.
yeah. So
You need to
yes,
see what he had written on his phone.
I don't have
Wrap
my,
it up, D. Wrap it up.
hey, this is important stuff. So with as I was saying with FUSIC though, we're trying to create something that, you know, we're trying to create something for the whole creative community: fashion, dance, film, art, and music. This is just the first iteration with the dance conventions. We're not just going to do it here. We're taking this worldwide.
Absolutely.
Like I said, Steve said he liked to train. Maybe he wanted to go to the next one. We go to Japan or wherever we go.
Man, I'm with it. Let's go.
So
We'll meet you up.
Yeah. This is not just here. You know, we're trying to spread, you know, this type of creative art across the world, you know, and help actual artists get paid what they actually deserve. You know what I mean? So that's what we're getting at right now. And not just this genre. It's all genres: fashion, dance, film, art, and music. We're trying to create a collaboration of all of them in one. And yes, as Dwayne stated, if you want to find out more information, you can just go to FUSIC365.com to find out more information about the competition.
My last question is for our choreographers for the convention. What is one thing, if the only thing, I don't care if it's a move, I don't care if it's a feeling, what is one thing you really want these dancers to leave with? From you specifically, not from the convention, not from the panels, not from, you know, what do you want them to learn from you specifically? One thing.
One thing. I I hate that I would have split it up into two things, but I want them to be confident in themselves. And I guess that is one thing. I want them to be confident in themselves, and that's either I'm confident because I executed really well and I got noticed and I've shown what I've been doing with my craft, or confidence to get up and try again if they didn't. So it's like no matter what, they should. Hopefully, what I can get across to them is that what they did, if it was their best, is what I wanted them to do. Like, and that means that you never need to back down to a challenge. You can always step up to that challenge and do your best. Because, like I was saying about my teacher that told me if I was going to be happy or angry, he was just saying that if you're happy, you tried everything. You went after I don't want to say try, because trying is like having the intention to fail, but you went after everything you wanted versus the guy who just didn't have the guts to do it. So I just hope that they're more confident to step up to a challenge. That's all.
That's good stuff. What about you, Nani?
That they're being their dancer. That they're being their dancer. They're finding the dancer in them and they're evolving into that dancer that's their dancer. So
that was okay.
Yeah. You take a little bit from me, you take a little from Stevo, and you go ahead and put it into you, and you find what works, what's you, and take it.
Absolutely, confidence in finding your dancer. I feel like those are two really, really important things. I mean, especially with this industry, a lot is happening. Stuff is saturated, like you said. It's hard to get lost. It was easy to get lost in here, and really hard to find yourself once you get lost. So. Definitely, hopefully those dancers and those students and people who are just interested in FUSIC365 convention come in and learn those things from you all.
Stevo, what upcoming projects do you have coming out? Can you share with us?
Yeah. Well, it's funny how this industry works is you never know until like a couple of days before. But but I am currently working with an artist that he's an incredible young man. He's about 8. He's just turned 19 actually the other day. We celebrated his birthday, and his name's Tylan, Tylan. Is on Instagram. It's official Tylan. Official Tylan. But he's an R&B artist, and honestly, there's not a lot of people in the R&B lane anymore, even though there used to be. And it's a pleasure to work with him. He's an incredible vocalist, and he's just got his head on his shoulders. He's an upstanding kid. Like he's always a pleasure to be around. So because he has such a really bright future, in my opinion, I would say I'm proud to talk about this because I know people are going to see who I'm talking about pretty soon. Right now, he actually has a song out called My Type with Soulja Boy, funny enough. And that's out, and it just hit 1 million streams. So he's doing some stuff. It's pretty cool.
Excellent. And you mentioned artists that you're working with and working with Tylan currently. Let's talk about past artists that you worked with. What artist stands out for you?
Yeah, resume.
What artist did what?
What artist stands out for you? Like,
man, they all stood out in different ways. Some more than others because some were brief. One job on and one job off. But like Lloyd was an R&B artist from ways back in Atlanta, and that stands out to me because he's kind of like a brother to me because I was with him for so long. Jacob Lattimore stands out also from Atlanta because he's just such an incredible talent. He can do anything that a dancer can do while singing, which is insane.
Absolutely, yeah.
Lindsey Sterling stands out. That was the last artist I toured with because she plays violin while she dances and she does dubstep music. She has an incredible variety show. So I would say those three specifically. Right now I manage an artist actually, and he stands out to me because I love him. He actually, he lives at the house and we've been working together for about 3 years. And his name is Mike River, and he's formerly of Mindless Behavior, and he's just an incredible. He plays 4 different instruments. He writes all his own stuff. He produces all his own stuff. Some stuff he just recently released. He has production from other people, but he does most of his own stuff now. So yeah, those are the ones that stand out to me.
That's incredible. So the artist, tell us again the artist that you're managing.
His name's Mike River.
Mike River.
Yeah, formerly of Mindless Behavior, but that was more like a pop group. And Mike is definitely more on the artist tip. He's definitely a creative. So and he can dance his butt off too. He's a very talented young man.
Are you bringing Mike with you?
I was not, but I can find out what he's got going on that day, man. That'd be great.
Bring him.
We'll give him, hey, we'll put him up and give him the stage as well.
Oh, cool. That's what's up, man. I'll let him know.
Look at that. The plug in on the podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm a direct shot to him too. He's got to do everything I say, or I'll just cut his lights off in his room. I'm kidding. I have no power.
Hey, that's what FUSIC is about. We try to get people out, you know, get them actual more. I just want to say, exposure than they normally would any place else.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can get Mike to pull up,
that'd be dope. Oh yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
That's an official offer, Stevo. Just jump on it, email me.
Okay, cool.
So I mean, it's even better. You got the manager and the, you know, the actual.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Really quickly, can I ask one more? So, Stevo, tell us about the classes that you're going to be teaching at EL3VATE by 365. What can your potential students expect from your class? What are you bringing?
Well, what I was stating before, it's definitely it's not a style that's a it might take a few times for most people. Like if people get discouraged from my style because it takes a lot of control to do it because I'm coming from a ballet background. There's a lot of lines in my style, which and very definitive lines. There's a balance between staccato quickness and also chill and groove. And then again, it's on the beat, behind the beat, in front of it, and it goes to lyrics and beat. So what they can't expect from me is I really enjoy teaching, and sometimes I dance so much I forget to look up and pay attention, but I'm getting better at it. But I am, if they took my personality from what they may have thought was a display of myself, which was in a movie that I did, I'm actually very nice. I'm not like the character that most people have seen me in a movie. So I hear mostly when I teach, people come up like, "Well, you're way nicer than I thought." And I'm like, "What is going on in people's heads?" So they can expect a fun time, like, and that's about it. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I will just admit, I've been in several of Stevo's classes. So, in fact, I think the last one I did was just last year. I think it was jumping into it. So students coming in and looking at his classes to jump into while at EL3VATE by FUSIC365. Yes, you want to jump into those. You're gonna have a good time.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun.
I got one question still.
What's up, boss?
Hey, how was it performing in the Super Bowl?
Oh man, in a word, fun. It was a lot of fun. It was not difficult choreography. Of course, we did. I think it was 100 dancers that were hired, and there was 150 like local dancers that they brought in from studios that just kind of did it on a volunteer basis. About 25 of the 100 were flown in from LA. And the choreography was very simple because we're post-COVID, post-pandemic. So we have to, somehow they made it so that we were all 6 feet away from each other the whole time. We all had masks. When everybody was like, "There's no mask, there's no mask," I'm like, "They're all at the Super Bowl, guys." Because they must have given me 6 masks before the first hour was up, and I had to tell them, I was like, "Yo, stop handing me masks. Like, this is brand new. I just got it on 5 minutes ago." They're like, "Oh, okay." Like they had a big number of us. So much money goes into this. And the weekend actually, he put a lot of his own money into it, but it was fun because the choreography was very simplistic. Because when you're working with a big crowd like that, you know, you don't know what talent you're dealing with at that level, and also it might look sloppy. So they were very direct with what they wanted. It was very framing. So the choreographer was very smart to do that. And then the weekend, I was actually never a big fan, but I liked his music. I always liked his music. I always thought he was talented. But when I saw him perform live, man, he knows his voice. I rarely do you see an artist that knows how to hit a note immediately, hold it. Like he's so controlled. And every time he practiced it as if he was doing it for real. And he put so much of his own money into it. I had a lot of respect for him. So it was a great overall experience. They treated us really well. They were very intelligent about the way they handled the COVID stuff. And it was nothing but fun for me. And at my age now, when I do a job, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for any stress. And of course, I'm looking for my check to be on time, and I wasn't even worried about that because they took care of it. No problem. It was really cool.
All right, glad to hear.
That wraps it up for us. Thank you so much, Stevo. We really appreciate it. Can't wait to have you here in person and go ahead and be able to share you with everybody else that's attending EL3VATE.
I cannot wait. It's going to be a blast. What's up, guys? It's Stevo Jones. Come join me at the EL3VATE by FUSIC365 Dance Convention and Competition. I cannot wait to see you guys. If you have not joined, you're making a mistake, and you definitely want to be a part of that. There's there's other prizes for even the younger kids. And we're looking to have some fun. We're looking to dance. We're looking to learn and send you guys home smiling. So come and join me, and I can't wait to see you. I'll be there.
Sé que lo puedes ver, difícil comprender. Es mi forma de ser, realeza y poder. Se retiró R de reggaetón, llegó la reina, si no toman la corona, soy yo la que te despeina, así que sigo con el rumbo, te crecen las orejas tipo Dumbo, pequeñita al frente pero atrás todo el jumbo, aquí metiéndole sazón como dice Calderón, yo tengo la salsa en la cuna de reggaetón, así que zumba, lista para la rumba, unos par le trago, la busca sabor a uva, uvita, loquita, soy rubita, son las malas gatas de la gatita. En camino a la cima yo soy la que cambia el clima, si soy yo, nadie como yo. En camino a la cima yo soy la que cambia el clima, si soy yo, nadie como yo. Sé que muchos han tratado de imitarme, pero la corona y esto no queda grande. Yo desarmo lenguas que están contra de mi arte, aunque me critiquen yo nunca voy a bajarle. Soy estrella fugaz, brillando en esta piedra, cargo dedos de oro. Le doy gracias a mi cepa, somos bendecidos. Aunque las tormentas vengan, ritmo sube por mis pies, la bomba puertorriqueña. Mis latidos se unen con